Hello, everyone. This is Adam with Fear No Evil, back with another Saturday security tip. And today, we're going right in my pocket, and we're going to look at my IFAK that resides in my pocket. Now, I have other first aid kits that I carry in a backpack when I'm on duty, especially. But when I get dressed, this is part of it. Knives, guns, everything goes on with pants, and that goes right in there, along with wallet and everything else. Um, so I always have that at a minimum on my person. A couple of the things you saw in the thumbnail, I don't have these in that pocket, obviously. And this was in the thumbnail for a trainer, just in the background that I use that for a trainer. But let's get into it real quick. We'll talk about this, but briefly, let me touch on my medical experience, which started back in 1993. Which sounds like a long time ago when I joined the Air Force, began getting training in self-aid and buddy care. So they told us how to not die in case there was a military action that we were involved in, and how to keep yourself from dying or keep your buddy from dying. So that was my first exposure to tourniquets. And they didn't even train us on real tourniquets. Nowadays you have cat tourniquets, which are basically the standard issue. A lot of people use those, but they trained us on improvised tourniquets. So how to get like a bandana and a stick and crank that down and put that on somebody's limb, keep them from bleeding out. And then they wanted you to write TQ on their forehead. If you didn't have like a Sharpie or something, you could dip your finger in blood and write that on there and write the time that the tourniquet was applied. Not sure that's a major concern in a civilian setting, because there's probably 15 hospitals within a half an hour where I am right now. So, just put the tourniquet on if need be and get help, and that'll work. So that was my first exposure to medical training, at least the kind that we're going to talk about today. And then in 2017, I had tactical emergency casualty care, which is teaching you how not to die in an active shooter situation or something like that. And so we went over tourniquets there, and then I became in 2019, first aid CPR AED instructor with EMS safety. So all that means is I have enough knowledge to talk about tourniquets and stuff like that with you today. Not claiming to be anything more than that. But why are we here? Why do you come to the Fear No Evil channel? Why do I have it? Why do I have this company? It's to keep you safe, keep you alive, keep you living a safe and happy life. Being able to be equipped in an emergency to save yourself or save somebody around you. So that's my background, and that's the philosophy behind carrying this tourniquet. Same reason I carry a gun, same reason I carry this, is to be able to save lives. In an active shooter situation, a gun may be turned into a life-saving medical device because we stop the guy from shooting you. Then all your blood stays in place, it continues to circulate, your heart keeps beating. So this is also a life-saving medical kit right here. So you see, it's real fancy. And this whole thing costs $20 or less. So I keep it in the Ziploc bag because I have a few other things in here other than the tourniquet. And so I just put it in a Ziploc bag and rubber bands it up. So let's get into it. Bandages, band-aids, whatever you want to call them. Why do I have these in here? Well, I'm a knife guy. Sometimes I get cut. Sometimes people around me get cut. One time I was out in public, and father came up to me and with his daughter and said, "Hey, watch this." And he said, "Hey, Adam, do you have a bandage on you?" And his daughter was waiting expectantly, and of course I pulled one out, from a safe, clean place. But why do I keep that in here? Well, if you're going to hand somebody a bandage, they don't want it all sweaty and grungy or whatever. So they want to know it came out of a clean place. So this is all clean and dry in that bag. But got a couple of these here. You say, I thought you were talking about life-saving stuff. Well, if you have somebody that's bleeding all over the place, and especially in an area that you're going to be in, and they have bloodborne pathogens. You know, they have something nasty that you don't want to get, and you say, hey, here, put this on, and they stop bleeding everywhere. Well, then you might be going a long way toward keeping people safe and increasing their quality of life, because they didn't pick up something that they didn't want to pick up. Speaking of that, next thing we have in here are gloves. And so this is important. Again, dealing with bloodborne pathogens and things you don't want to touch. So, you know, if a tourniquet is needed, chances are there's going to be a lot of blood around, and you should put some gloves on. And then also in here, because it fits, I have a breathing barrier. So if you wanted to do give some rescue breaths during CPR, you could get this out and apply that and have some protection when you're doing some rescue breaths. Lately, they've been more into compression only CPR, 100 beats per minute, and so you might not even need that, but it's an easy option to throw in the kit. Doesn't weigh anything, doesn't take up much space, so I have that in there. And then lastly, we get to the star of the show, which is a SWAT-T Tourniquet. That stands for Stretch, Wrap, and Tuck Tourniquet. Why do I like these? Well, I don't dislike the other tourniquets, but I prefer to carry these for several reasons. First is they're cheap, right? They're like $15, $16, so that's not a lot of money. Another is they are very compact and easy to carry. It's about the size of a wallet or an old flip phone or something like that. Not very big, it's lightweight. They are multifunction, so that they're not just specifically used as a tourniquet. You can use them for compression. Depends on how tightly you stretch and wrap this. It could just be a compression bandage. It could be used as a splint to immobilize somebody's arm. Sorry, my camera's up too high. I can't show you that. So you could use it as a splint. It could be an eye covering. If somebody injured their eye, you could cut a piece of this off if you have tape and use that as a chest seal. And so they're very versatile. Another reason why I like these is because these will get as small as you need them to. So if you have something like a cat tourniquet, you can only crank down so much on those. They're only going to get so small. So if the person, you know, if it's a small child or a dog, say, that's bleeding out, and you're trying to apply that to them, well, the cat might not. That's funny. The cat tourniquet might not get small enough to rescue the dog or the small child. So these are very versatile for those reasons. So, and you know, if you carry one for a while, and like I have, this is an older one, so I keep this as a trainer so I can practice. Again, my camera's up too far for me to show you that, but you can do that. They're inexpensive enough that you can do that. So as far as placement, so I have these trauma shears. If you have time, if the scene is safe, and you want to remove, you know, cut away the pants or the sleeves to get to the arm or the leg and see exactly what's going on and see exactly where that is, and put the tourniquet 2 to 3 inches above that wound. Obviously, it goes between the wound and the heart, right? So if the wound is here, you wouldn't put the tourniquet there. So if the wound is here, it would be up there between the wound and the heart. That's for people that think socialism works. I just thought I'd throw that in. So where was I? So if you have time and the scene is safe, and if you want to dig around and find out exactly where the wound is and put it 2 to 3 inches above that, not on a joint, you can do that. But I prefer just to do it high and tight, because, you know, I'm coming from the tactical emergency casualty care, the military thought process. So we're thinking, you know, we don't have time for that. So it would just go high and tight. So on the arms, it would go right under the armpit up here, as high as you can get it. also on the legs, up as high as you can. And that's going to take care of the whole limb. It could be multiple injuries there, and you might not have time to cut clothing away and diagnose exactly where uh, the major problem is. So if you just put it high and tight, you'll take care of it, and that could save somebody's life. So for under $20, you can have a small, compact, versatile first aid kit, including this tourniquet, some bandages, breathing barrier, and gloves that you can put in your pocket. Might save your life, might save the life of your family or friends or coworkers, somebody that you care about. So consider that. Go get some training, some stop the bleed training or something like that. I hope that's been helpful to you. I'll see you back here next week.